The closer we've gotten to the end of Only Murders in the Building Season 2, the more I've been wondering, who will die next? Bunny's murder was revealed at the end of Season 1, so the upcoming season finale episode may very well present us with yet another corpse that will spark a new murder investigation for Season 3. Fellow YouTube creator Dallas has been pondering this question as well and shared his predictions for the Season 3 victim on his channel, All My Favorite Things from the Screen. So I will link his video in the description, and if you haven't already, please do give it a watch. Dallas offers an intriguing discussion, and I think his number one choice for Season 3 victim is a really good one. I won't repeat the name of that potential victim here. Instead, I'm sharing my own list of 5 potential victims for Season 3 and my reasons for those selections. Hello and welcome. You are watching Killing Time with Rashida, the place to be for all things mystery, mayhem, and primarily fictional murder. If you love this type of content, click that subscribe button if you haven't already so you never miss an episode. First, here's who I believe will not be the victim at the center of Season 3's murder mystery. Nina Lynn. My reason for believing that Nina Lynn is safe is simple. She's a new mom, and I simply don't believe the show would go that dark on the murder mystery spectrum. Besides, with Bunny dead, Nina is one of the few characters that we've met at the Arconia who has a wealth of knowledge about the building's history. So I think she'll be very useful to the trio's future investigation and important to keep alive. What about Howard? Even though he isn't part of the investigating trio, I believe Howard is pivotal to the show. Howard is messy and always has his ear to the ground, listening for a bit of gossip to simply entertain himself with or to share with the trio. He also knows and interacts with so many of the Arconia residents, which has proven helpful to the trio in the past. So while I think Howard will continue to exist in the margins of future murder investigations, I don't see him actually being murdered himself. Uma. We haven't seen a lot of Uma, and I think that's because she and Bunny are both cranky and unfiltered old broads. So having both of these characters around would be redundant. But now with Bunny gone, I think Uma will rise to fill the void that Bunny left and also serve to keep a distrustful eye trained on Charles, Mabel, and Oliver, as well as to complicate their efforts to sleuth around the building. Cinda. I think Cinda would be a good candidate for victim in Season 4 or beyond if Only Murders in the Building continues for that long. But as I shared in my Episode 9 recap video, I believe that Poppy, Cinda's assistant, is Bunny's murderer. And don't forget about the potential fallout from whatever unethical activity Cinda engaged in involving the search for Becky Butler. So along with Cinda being one of the trio's main antagonists, I think there's good reason to keep Cinda alive and continue her story in Season 3. And the last characters I'll discuss before sharing my top 5 candidates for Season 3 victim, Ursula and Lester. I think these two characters mirror Howard and Nina. Both Ursula and Howard seem to be privy to the residents' secrets and drama, and together I imagine that both Lester and Nina know as much about the secrets and history of the building as Bunny did. Only in contrast to Bunny and Uma mirroring each other, Ursula and Lester work at the Arconia rather than live there. So they possess a much different perspective of the residents and a different level of access to the Arconia than Howard and Nina. And while Howard seems to gain personal enjoyment from sharing gossip, Ursula ain't talking unless someone's buying. A box of her gut milk, that is. In my opinion, all of that means that Ursula and Lester will continue to be instrumental to the show, creating a different type of conflict and barriers for the trio than Howard and Nina. So I don't believe they will be victims next season either. So number 5 on my list of next characters to die is Ivan. I simply cannot shake the feeling that Ivan is harboring secrets this season. So I fully expect that he will have some information to get off of his chest in the finale episode. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ivan's confession, or even the indication that he has a confession to make, leads to Ivan being murdered. That being said, if he were murdered, what would compel the trio to investigate? They don't have any emotional ties to him, and I don't think season 3 will have the trio solving another murder case in order to exonerate one or all of themselves. So I don't have a suggestion for any motive to murder Ivan, and for that reason, he's not at the top of my list. Then there's Dr. Grover Stanley, who has popped in and out of the show since season 1. My primary reason for adding him to this list, and this feels cruel to say, is that I think the next victim needs to be a character whose death wouldn't upset the balance of the show. For example, I explained how Howard, Nina, Lester, and Ursula serve an important purpose for the trio as they investigate murders in the building, whether they are helping or hindering. Dr. Stanley doesn't seem to have been established as that type of essential character. That said, unlike Ivan, even though Dr. Stanley isn't closely connected to Mabel, Charles, or Oliver, he is on the Arconia board. I can see both Nina and Howard convincing or coercing the trio into investigating his murder, and then the trio developing some sort of personal reason to become emotionally invested in bringing his murderer to justice. Number 3 on my list is Alice. Now you may be thinking, didn't you just say you don't think a more essential character would become the next victim? Yes, I did, but hear me out. First, I wouldn't exactly call Alice an essential character. She and Mabel did experience this roller coaster romance, but if we never see Alice's character again, aside from lingering questions about her, her absence wouldn't exactly leave a void in the show or affect the way the trio investigates moving forward. That said, I think it's just as likely that Mabel will reunite with Alice in season 3 as I believe it's likely that Alice will be murdered. In which case, Mabel, broken by guilt and regrets, would vigorously investigate Alice's murder and drag Charliver along for the ride. And this latter option would be a lot more fun for the show. Why might Alice meet her demise? I think Alice is harboring a number of secrets that have yet to be revealed. And the fallout resulting from any number of these secrets could lead to Alice being murdered. If you're enjoying this video, be kind and click that like button. If you're not enjoying this video, baby, why are you still here? But before you go off into the sunset, click any button. Like, unlike, either one helps my channel, and I would greatly appreciate the feedback. Now, let's move on to number 2 on my list of most likely to be murdered next. Jonathan. You remember Jonathan, Howard's new boo? We've only just met him, but his relationship with Howard seems to be going so smoothly and progressing with lightning speed. And Howard has clearly been yearning for companionship for so long. So murdering Howard's long-awaited love interest seems like a highly plausible direction for the show. And don't forget about that sneezing Jonathan did in episode 8. I can see this being one of those scenarios where Howard discovers that Jonathan was involved in bad behavior, maybe involving the attempted theft of the Rose Cooper painting or worse, and Howard, feeling betrayed, breaks off the relationship or secretly pries into Jonathan's background, hoping to resolve the situation without destroying their relationship. Either way, this would lead to Jonathan confessing, "Yes, Howard, I lied, but my love for you is real and true." But then, before they can fully reunite, Jonathan is murdered. I can totally see a devastated Howard pressuring Mabel, Oliver, and Charles to investigate Jonathan's murder. Maybe even threatening to expose some bit of gossip he has on one of them if they don't immediately agree to take the case. I also think it would be very entertaining to explore what a desperately heartbroken Howard, as dramatic as he is, might bring to season 3. And number 1 on my list is Marv. As I mentioned in my episode 8 recap video, I believe that Marv is Alice's father. As we know, Alice and Mabel have shared such a tumultuous relationship this season, and I don't think these two are finished with each other. So if Marv is Alice's father, making her the daughter that told Marv he was dead to her, and then he's murdered, can't you see Mabel rushing to Alice's side to support and console her? and promising to help bring her father's murderer to justice. I can also see this ramping up the internal conflict for Mabel and the romantic tension between both Mabel and Alice, because Mabel believes that Alice is wrong for her for so many reasons, but she would also find it difficult to keep her feelings at bay as she and Alice rub shoulders in the search for Marv's killer. And what about the questions surrounding Alice that I mentioned earlier? To name a few, what is the significance of Alice referencing the All Is Not Okay in Oklahoma podcast in the puzzle she made for Mabel? Is it possible that when Poppy told Mabel at the end of episode 9, you don't know what she's capable of, you don't know what she'd do to get what she wants? Is it possible that Poppy wasn't speaking about Cinda, but about Alice? Victoria commented on my episode 9 recap video, I can't help but wonder what Alice may have left in Mabel's bathroom, and I can't get Alice having the Son of Sam card out of my mind. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Victoria. I think you made some great points. Investigating Marv's murder would allow us to get those answers and keep Alice around and alive so that we can be entertained by the tortured romance between her and Mabel. Also, Marv's death would totally mobilize the podcast fans, who I imagine would call in reinforcements and fully insert themselves into the investigation, causing havoc for the trio who are trying to investigate and at times unintentionally thwarting the investigation and making for a very interesting season 3. Well, that's all, my friend. Before you go, let me know in the comments if you agree with my selections or not, and who you think will be next to get the axe or the bullet or get crushed under some large appliance or something. Okay, bye.